Hello. Yesterday, I stumbled upon a video about XRP, and I decided to make a more or less short and also spontaneous response to this video because lots of falsehoods about XRP were being shared, or at least I am not here to like call him out on that, but I just want to highlight and correct and also inform correctly, since apparently this guy, if I don't know his name, Andrei, Jikh. Well, it's fine here. But I just wanted to like reflect on it. I do know that I don't reach many people, but at least if some people like hear and understand how the XMP ledger actually works, it would be beneficial, since he's just shared with over. So if you look at clicks, 170,000 people, lots of falsehoods about XRP ledger. So yes, so I did not rehearse this actually, so I'm just diving into it. I just jotted a few things down I want to start with, but let's go to the start with the first
project that you may or may
with the first few seconds. So
not have heard of by the name of Ripple. So Ripple is a project that's worth roughly $43 billion in terms of market cap. It has a limited fixed supply of 100 billion coins that will ever exist, which have already been created, and each coin is worth roughly 94 cents at the time of making.
So the first important part I would like jump in right here is that Ripple Labs is a company, and they are obviously like advancing the tech, but XRP is the currency. So there's a huge difference between Ripple and XRP. It's very important to outline already at the start, because people confuse these two things all the time. XRP is the native asset on the XRP ledger, and Ripple, in the sense of Ripple Labs, is a company. They developed the XRP ledger. Well, to be honest, Ripple was founded after the XRP ledger launched. So afterwards, they decided to make a company, which also had not that, as well also program. So the project is open source, anybody can contribute. So if you're wondering where, it's on GitHub. It's on the rippled rippled/rippled. So I'm just gonna highlight that on GitHub to quickly show you that. And on that site here, so on that site, anybody can contribute to the project. So the last released version was a few days ago. It was 1.7.2, and anybody can contribute here. And right, so let's go into
this
the
video,
more.
but it's gotten as high as almost $4. So and cryptos up your engines 3 to 5 seconds of
So
10.
there he mentions all the correct things, so the specs which are true. Yeah, whatever. So the price prediction, I don't want to go into that and more.
MC. No, it's biased when it comes to
So we can see he is he tries to show us that he is biased more or less. Regarding the centralization issue, he could also highlight, for example, the centralization issue with Bitcoin. Also regarding Ethereum, because he's later making the point that, oh yes, Ripple is printing money, and it's quite interesting, since the Ethereum Foundation themselves have also on the height of the bull run were selling themselves all the Ethereum. But whatever, I don't want to dive into that. It's just interesting. But let's still go on. So independently of all the other currencies out there, which are also like quite similar. So yes, he mentioned that there are 10 billion in existence. That's true. They are quote unquote pre-mined. So yes, that's also true. At the beginning, there were just 100 billion XRP. There will be never more. There will be never less. Oh well, there will be less. It's deflationary, since each transaction costs 12 drops, so it will decrease, but rather slowly. And also the validators can vote on lowering the transaction fees. But let's go on here.
$1,000, and you might have heard of something called Ripple and XRP. The two are very different.
At least he highlights to the point that he confuses them before.
Time. Ripple is Ripple Labs, which is the company that developed the network technology, and XRP is their proprietary token. So Ripple is actually going after very different markets than Bitcoin and Ethereum.
So the XRP token is not, well, quote unquote, necessarily proprietary, since anybody can also do a fork of it. So anybody can fork XRP, like with any open source project. So you can just fork the project and run your own validators to start your own network. There have been 3 hard forks on the XRP ledger already. Regarding that, there's also a video if you want to more clearly understand how the XRP ledgers work and how the validators work. So the different modes you can run the validators. There is the Ripple X XDev live stream where you can look into that. So there was a video about the different validators and how they were created to start. Well, more or less how they started off. But let's go on here.
The closest thing that
so just quickly showing you, it's on the twitch.tv under Ripple XDev. There was one video also where they are going to deep diving into the validators. So you can also see that here. I'm just looking, so that's Matt Hamilton right there. But I'm just looking at the one part there. It was quite recently. But no, never mind. For now, I will post it in the video description. But let's continue.
you can compare Ripple to is something called Swift, which is not this Pokemon process. It doesn't actually move. That tells me that's what most decided to X current. But I promise to keep it simple and tie it all together in like the next is the messaging system, which I'm just kidding. I love necessarily the actional, which is just a now it's linked to an you can see both they're trying to improve on is the stability, expensive, and the ability.
So I'm not deep diving into all the part regarding what it could be used for or what he's comparing it to.
And all these amazing technologies, and they think XRP is going to the moon. We're going to $100. But the truth is, everything I just described in this video has very little to do with XRP, the coin that you and me invest in. And this is because XRP, the coin, was created to provide liquidity to banks.
So it was not only created for liquidity reasons, but also the XP ledger, there's one huge issue regarding trust. So the thing, that's the case for all blockchains. So you do not have to trust a third party. So that's the part here. So the problem with cross-border payments currently is when you want to send cross-border payments, you always have a third party you have to trust there, and it also might take a while. The fees are high, and it's basically a chain of liabilities there. And that's what XRP is being used for, as like I said, well, quote unquote, a bridge currency. But it can be used in like Bitcoin or any other currency, and it was set out to be created. So a former developer for Bitcoin, so David Schwartz himself, so you can also show his commits. He was working a time on Bitcoin and also improving it, but then he also saw all the shortcomings of Bitcoin. That's why they wanted to develop the quote unquote better Bitcoin. So, right.
That way they can maybe open pre-funded channels, interact with this money, and then settle on Ripple's proprietary blockchain. It gives them a standard where they don't have to worry about foreign exchange rates. That was the idea. But using XRP the coin is not a prerequisite to using Ripple's incredible technology. Theoretically,
yes, but the point he's right now making here is that XRP still, so the thing here is XRP has all the prerequisites like regarding speed, output, and so on, and you need to put your energy into a blockchain which can be used there. So you can obviously look into other projects, but right.
You can use any other type of currency and it'd be just fine. And this is why XRP and Ripple is very centralized, because it is.
Okay, so now he's mentioning that XRP is centralized, yet he did not do his research, so we can quickly look into it here. Okay, so the thing here is, so Ripple, the company themselves, they are publishing the Ripple D server versions. Anybody can run a validator. You can go into the website, on the XRPL.org website, there are tutorials how you can run your own validator. There are multiple modes how you can run the validator, or if you just want to run it in, for example, full node. But if you want, you can just go and build with the XRP ledger. You can go to view all tutorials and also go to the Ripple D server. So everybody can run one. The part here is, so let's go a little bit deeper in managing the Ripple D server, install Ripple D. So there is a huge tutorial how anybody can set one up. I myself did set one up, and right, it's not that hard to do. But let's deep dive, let's continue.
Is owned by a company, which means,
and no, the XRP ledger is not owned by a company. It's basically, and there are multiple people in the network who are running the validators. You can see that on XRP scan. So just let's check out that website. And there are all the validators we've got here, and it used to be so there. at first there was the UNL, the so-called DUNL, the default UNL. In this default UNL, there were all the starting companies. At the beginning, obviously you're trusting some parties, yeah. And at first there were 37 entries. In these 37 entries, about 10 universities, 8 universities were in there, which also rather would say not prone to being like influenced. But also the XRPLF, so the XRPL Labs Foundation, published just recently their own UNL. They extended UNL to include Tovo Labs, and also to include, so Tovo Labs, they made the XRP toolkit, so it's also a nice feature where you can interact with the XRP ledger. And also, I just have to think what the second one was. And let's try to look at the second one. So now they're all important ones. The 39 important validators. These ones count here. And the part here is, if you can see, 2, 4, 6. So out of these 39, 6 are being run by Ripple. All the other ones aren't. And you can also see the Ripple validators aren't even voting on new features. So, but okay. So let's highlight it a little bit more. And there were also a few universities. If you want to know who's running all of those, you just can click on each of them. For example, on that one, that's one being run by the university. You can click on it, go into the domain, and see that this validator is being run by the University of Kansas, so by the Information Technology Telecommunication Department. So that's it as far. And in order that Ripple can do anything, they need 80% consensus. They need 80% to control 80% out of these 39 validators, so it's about 31, to actually change or do anything. And yes, Ripple does have the escrow. Each month they get access to 1 billion XRP. They usually take out what they need for their operations, lock the rest up, and the new escrow at the end of the period gets created. But still, they're not able, for example, to quote unquote dump the entire thing at once, and they're also not to print money or extend it. But let's go to that part here.
XRP can be changed at a moment's notice.
And that's also not true. So in order to change XRP, all the validators would have to agree on that. We've got 39, and like as mentioned before, Ripple does not control 80% of those. The only thing they could do, well, quote unquote could do, you need 20% to like stop the network temporarily. But the thing here is, if for example all the Ripple validators would be misbehaving, they'd still make 20% of the network. And also if they would be misbehaving, then all the other ones could just remove them from the UNL. Because each validator has his own UNL, his unique node list who wants to trust. And currently all these validators, so there of all of these 39, you're using the XRPLF. So all of those are trusting the 38 other ones. So that's the part here. And this network can extend and whatever can change. So also, if there are some validators, so for example, you could also run a validator, as long as you're doing your job good, then you could be also added to that. So when you're running long enough and good enough, you will be also added to the list. So there are stats, they're looking if you're doing a good job, if you're in agreement with the network, if you missed anything. So you can see, for example, yeah, there were days where this validator missed a few consensus processes. And right, so that's actually, like I said, a bold lie here. So it's pure misinformation, but let's go on.
And because of that, this is what ended up happening. Hey, I heard you're printing money. That's not cool. Let us.
So right, so now he's making a joke about so Ripple printing money, but actually that's like how basically each blockchain works. So everything is being created out of thin air. Either if it's Bitcoin, the first miners are there, and they're just getting Bitcoin out of thin air while they're quote unquote providing the mining power, hashing power. But still, they're like the first one, so it's under quote unquote they're mining it before the network really launches. Or the same goes with Ethereum. So the Ethereum Foundation also mined a lot at the start when they were the first ones to join here. So what do you expect? So
Let's introduce ourselves.
and also it's like, so for all people who are like a little bit more curious, you could also maybe look into Jikh and just like find a little bit more about him. Also him clarifying Ethereum and Bitcoin are not securities. And also, so yes, he mentions the how it is later, but also if the organization Ripple is gone, XRP still exists. It's not gone, so that's the next part. So, but let's go on.
We're the SE.
Yeah,
C.
never.
So here is why XRP and Ripple are so potentially important to the.
So right, let's go
Future of
on.
crypto, and this is going to affect all of us, regardless if you're buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Dogecoin. It's going to get crazy. Because for the longest time, we've always had a gray area from the government on who get regulated very differently. There's a test called the Howey test, which asks 4 simple questions to help us figure out which is which. Number 1, it asks, is it an investment of money? Number 2, is it combination of profit? A yes. Then that means that thing is a security and not a commodity. And that's a very bad thing, because securities are regulated much more strictly than commodities. This is why the SEC is called the Securities Exchange Commission. It regulates securities. Crypto does not want to be securities. It either wants to be commodities. Ripple and XRP lose this classification battle and they get labeled as a security. This is hugely going to negatively affect the entire today would be classified not as expectation or Bitcoin of security that people make affect the entire crypto space, because many of the speculative investments that people make in crypto today would be classified not as commodities but as securities, because they are issued by centralized sources with the expectation of making profit. Now luckily the head of the SEC has already told us they do not consider Bitcoin to be a security.
Obviously, yeah. So you can see here it's Jake Clayton, and he's now working at what was it? River One Asset Buy, I think. River One Asset Buy. Let's see. So he's working on that One River Asset Management. So it's a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. So it whatever you take it with whatever you can think. Just think about your part. So yeah, Jake Clayton's just started working there, and it's basically a joke. So he might collide here, but whatever. Then also him filing the lawsuit against Triple Labs on his last day, and all of that. Lots of former SEC stuff is working now at Ripple and defending them. But let's go on. Like I said, there are many falsehoods because basically, yes, the XRP ledger is not centralized. That's simply not true.
But if Ripple loses this classification battle, then markets will still get scared, people will still sell off, FUD will still spread, but the prices will eventually recover once people watch this video, so I will be buying the dip. Not financial advice, Cody Co, I absolve what I think about Ripple and XRP. So anyway, let me give you my personal thoughts on what I think about Ripple and XRP. Please understand that this next part is only my personal thoughts. I could be wrong. I'm not the most informed.
Okay, so he was wrong before. So also regarding, so all of that before, there were many parts. There was trying to compare it, and also, well, talked about lots of falsehoods. But let's see the rest of it. So already before he was making this claim that he could be wrong, he's plenty of times wrong there. But let's go on.
Formed non-crypto channel out there, and just because I have a lot of subscribers, qualified. But to me, XRP has always been a crypto for the banks.
And right, okay, so yes, he's saying this himself, but whatever. So XRP is not. XRP can be used by anyone. They're also branching out to want to also offer NFT support. So that's the last discussion they had about maybe supporting NFTs. They're currently working with specification. XRP does basically the same as Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, and also just is more advanced. So there are multiple ways you can also interact with the XRP ledger. You can also do some light smart contracts there. So currently also working on hooks. You can also issue your own currencies, so-called issue currencies. It's the same, for example, with USDT or any other ERC20 token. So that's something which also could be on the XRP ledger instead. And it's cheaper, and as you know, the firm gas fees are a joke, but let's go on.
And this is because if investing in crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum is a hedge against inflation and a way of rejecting the current financial system, then investing in XRP is like a hedge against the hedge.
Okay, so so let's continue. So like I said, XRP is not only intended for banks. Anybody can use it. It's basically more or less they were at the first marketing as the better Bitcoin. It was the envision. The founders or the creators of the XRP ledger, Aldo Brito, Jed McCaleb, and David Schwartz had. And that's it. So saying that investing into XRP, so getting XRP tokens, is like investing into banks. That's simply also not true. But okay.
It's like a bet against the bet, if that makes any sense, because
Warum sollten Sie bei eToro in Aktien
let's just wait a few seconds until the ads is over here.
If XRP succeeds as the standard de facto currency of the world, then the very idea that we love about crypto as far as permissionlessness and decentralization and immutability, buzzwords, all of those ideas sort of end with
And that's the next lie here. So it's the XRP ledger is permissionless. It's not being run by Ripple. It is decentralized, and it's also immutable. So all of these things here. So there's also a nice visualization of when transactions are being signed off here. So we can also see it here. Here there it's showing here the wrong UNL, but still the UNL of the first 39 is important. But still, there you can see the visualization, and it's permissionless. So Ripple does not control all the other validators. That's simply not true. And in order to change anything on the network, they need 80% consensus. They need to control 80%. And that's definitely not the case here. So, right. So this is again, like I said, well, I would call it a false or a lie or whatever, but, well, or just misinformed. So I just think I don't think he intentionally is lying here in this video, but I'm just highlighting that it's just, well, badly researched, and that's unfortunate since he's telling a lot of people that, and they will be keep on repeating that, and that yeah, well, he's basically it's another train reaction of, but whatever.
XRP's success. And that's because Ripple, the company, owns XRP. XRP is not decentralized.
XRP is decentralized. Ripple does not own, well, the XRP ledger. Ripple themselves, they do own XRP, and they do own quite a lot of XRP. That is true. But we do not have a proof of stake system here. It doesn't matter how much XRP you do hold. You can. It doesn't matter. So, for example, also the validators could, for example, also say they want to burn the escrows. So they want to get rid of the escrows of Ripple Labs themselves. So they could vote for that if it's in the interest of the ecosystem. So like I said, there are 39 validators. So in overall, there are over 1,000 nodes. So that we can run a node in different ways. But the important ones, the validators, which are currently making decisions, they are not controlled by Ripple. That's simply not true. Like I said, I can only highlight that, and I can only also just highlight it here that that also 2 values were added just recently, and that there are also like 8 or 9 universities in there. We can also look at whatever. Well, we've got Berkeley here. We've got UCL, ACAT. We can look at all the universities here who are running these validators. Do you actually think university professors or whatever departments at the university are actually like, I don't know, more prone to corruption than, I don't know, normal people from the private sector? So we've got here, so we can you can see here, we've got the University of Waterloo there running a validator. We've got Berkeley running a validator, so we'll just change the subdomain here. We've got the University of Berkeley running a validator. We've got the University of, what is it here? So I'm just gonna remove the computer science UCL. UCL was had it before. Right, we've got the London Global University running a validator. And these are all things which, in my opinion, speak for decentralization.
Even though that's what you'll oftentimes hear from people, at the end of the day, it's not.
And that's the next part. Ripple does not pick the UNL. That's simply not true again. They did provide at the start the default UNL, the DUNL. That is true. But like I said, it just changed recently. So that's just the lie again there.
I'm not even sure why it was considered to be a cryptocurrency in the first place. And
yeah.
So this next part of the video is going to hopefully blow your mind. Crypto is like a Rube Goldberg machine. I'm sure you've seen those videos where a ball will fall, a rope will become, you know it. Why do you need to build such a complicated machine when you can just flick the switch and turn the tree on? Where is this? If you is the complexity of having to build a Rube Goldberg like the very, very hard to do. In all of because it's.
And also, another thing I highlighted found in the comment sections is, oh no, there are no miners in the XRP network. But look, the XRP ledger does not use proof of work. There are multiple concepts. So the big ones I would say are proof of work. We've got proof of stake. We've got pure proof of stake, well, which is proof of stake. We've got delegated proof of stake, and we've got also custom consensus algorithms. And for example, XRP is using their own RPCA, the Ripple Consensus Algorithm. So the name Ripple is in there because at first the cryptocurrency's name was Ripple, and they changed the name from Ripple to XRP. It's only called XRP. And And just because there are no miners doesn't mean it's not decentralized. So like I said, those validators are just they're deciding themselves. They can only maintain themselves a list of people they want to add there, and each validator has their own UNL. They can change it however they want to. And the part here is, so let's so all the people are thinking, yes, but Bitcoin has miners, it's so decentralized, it's so awesome. Well, actually, Bitcoin is centralized in China. 4 mining pools have over 50% of the hashing power. They have the absolute control over the network, and that's a fact. We can also just quickly look into the blockchain explorer, blockchain.com, and I meant like Bitcoin Explorer. My bad. We can look at the Bitcoin Explorer here, and what do we see here? We can just check the last mined blocks. We can see here the slash pool, Chinese mining pool, pool in, Chinese. So we can also look at, so obviously they're not themselves showing the graphs, how many like hashing power each pool is providing. But Bitcoin mine, I'm just gonna add Bitcoin mining pool, and we can see here. So there was somebody luckily digested the data. And we can just see here, oh, wait a sec, so nope, there was another site there you can find mining pool list. Well, let's see if we can see the list here. Well, pool stats, let's see it if we have the pool stats there. And we've got the pool stats here. Check this out. We've got F2 pool, it's a Chinese mining pool, and pool, BTC and pooling. These are all Chinese mining pools. They've got over 50%. They just need 50% to dominate the network. And anybody saying Bitcoin is decentralized is basically lying here. So, so like I said, this guy here in this video has like the most of his holdings in Bitcoin, but yet he has the audacity to say that XRP is centralized. So it's like irony at its finest, basically.
Way faster and much more efficient. Now Ripple and XRP have all the hallmark features of a cryptocurrency. They have validating nodes, they have users, they have developers, they have businesses using their technology. The only thing they really don't have are the miners, but they still
Oh my gosh. So, like I said, so this is not proof of work. The XRP ledger does not use proof of work. So just because there are no miners doesn't mean it's not decentralized. Like I said, the validators can also grow in number. So anybody can run a validator, and there's also multiple ways you can run a node. You can also, for example, run a full node. So you can you have a node which knows the entire history. But like I said, he's just heavily misinformed there.
have created a Rube Goldberg machine of sorts, except instead of letting the machine run itself, they're like, wait a minute, I'm gonna put this here, wait a minute, before this falls, I'm gonna guide it right there, okay, perfect, I'm gonna do this thing. And it's like, why would you build this complicated machine when
Right, so because basically this machine is, so the thing here is, so with proof of work, the only thing is, the more money you have, the easier it is to get full power of the Bitcoin network. So you basically just have to, so the cost about hardware is just growing linearly. So meaning that if you have enough money, you can 50% attack the Bitcoin network easily. The Ether network, the Ether Classic network, has been 51% attacked. Well, 50% attacked. It's called 51%, but you only need 50%. With 50% attacked already 3 times, and the same could happen to Bitcoin. It's like I said, quite easy. Just tries China, tries these 4 Chinese mining pools would have to sink. Do you remember the time when CSAT, so Binance, was thinking about doing a rollback after the hack? Yes, they themselves suggested that, well, let's do a rollback, and they knew they could, because they were owning over 50% of the mining power. So, right. It's just basically jokes to the points he's trying to make here. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there's like lots of irony in there, and he's just ill-informed and basically telling all his followers like it's nonsense there.
when you can just do it all yourself, which is what the banks do already? It doesn't make any sense. So I came up with a theory. A film theory. XRP was created with the intention of becoming more than it did, but it never got the adoption from major banks. The technology
Right, because we see so much of the adoption of any other cryptocurrency.
and the network did, but not the token. Because why would major banks take the counterparty risks of using something that's so volatile when they can create something
The thing here is, well, regarding volatility, it like the settlement. So Ripple themselves, they also have their own products using XRP. So basically, they have products which, for example, the most well known is on-demand liquidity. So meaning that money is being transformed into, for example, into XRP, then being sent and immediately being transferred back into a foreign currency. So regarding the volatility part, it's actually also not true. It's not a problem here. Also, banks could also issue their own issued currencies on the XRP ledger. I also must have created an issue currency to test that, and it's not that hard. And banks could also do that themselves.
that's their own, or just use the dollar that's far more stable. So instead, XRP ended up becoming a funding mechanism for Ripple Labs.
And this next falsehood. So, right. So it was never intended to be a funding mechanism. Ripple Labs themselves, they do have, like I said, lots of XRP. That is true. They've got like over 50 billion XRP. So half of it, more or less, it's in escrow. So they can only access 1 billion at a time. So currently, so each escrow is released on the first of the month, and then they take what they need, and then they lock up the rest and put it the last date of the last escrow. But still, right, so this is just complete nonsense.
To create a powerful technology, which is also why the SEC could still label it as a security.
They could label any other cryptocurrency as security.
But what they did that was so smart to me was that they created a technology that was independent from the success of its token, which means the token could theoretically go to $0.
And it's also the other way around. So the token could go up, and Ripple could go down. It doesn't matter actually. So, but yeah, right. So let's go on.
And anyone left holding it could be left with nothing.
Yes, and also something. Do you know how much miners dump every day on you with Bitcoin? We can just look it up here. Just let's have a quick look at the mining blocks. So we can see here that on average, so the intention is with the difficulty, that on average it takes obviously 10 minutes to mine a block. So let's just we've got 24 hours times 60, and we've got 1,440 minutes. Divide that by 10, we've got 144, and times what you currently get is 6.25 Bitcoin. These are 900 Bitcoins being sold off every day. And now let's just multiply that with the current price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin price, let's just check that out. So currently it's about what I have here. So I'm just going to US dollar. So it's about 35 times $35,236. These are 31 million XRP being sold off, 31 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin being sold off every day. Every day. But okay, let's continue in the video.
But Ripple Labs, the company, could thrive and even go public with an already incredible product that was funded by speculative investors like us under the guise of it being a cryptocurrency. But because the comments still own enough, my thesis was I was a
okay, right. So yes, that's it basically. Thank you. Oh, right. And now he's promoting BlockFi. Okay. But okay, right. So I do not mean disrespect or anything. I just want to correct all the falsehoods here in this video because they are unbearable. It's just crazy how many people actually believe this stuff, are not looking into it. So his entire video was very ill researched. I was not meant going more into the banking part of the video, so it's fine. I just want to highlight all the technical details about the XRP ledger because, right, so anybody can run one. You can also build on it. You don't need Ripple, more or less. So if Ripple is gone, XRP will still exist, and also so. But like I said, Ripple, it doesn't matter which direction lawsuit goes, because either way they can continue. 90% of all of Ripple's customers are not in the US, so it might be a dent there. So we might see a pullback also in the price action. But all in all, Ripple, the company, and also XRP, the cryptocurrency, they have a very bright future, and everybody who, well, I'm not trying, so it could be wrong, like anybody making estimations or also trying to predict the future. I'm just saying here that this video was unfortunately full of falsehoods, and I hope next video, if he ever makes a new video about XRP, that he researches it a little bit better and also not adds a interesting theory at the end, because I could also like add, well, crazy
And
Bitcoin
immutability.
or Ethereum theories. Like, yes. But okay, thanks for watching. I hope it was you liked the video. And the last thing I want to highlight here is, I know not many people are going to see this video, but I just had like the urge to respond to all these quote-unquote accusations, because it's just crazy to me that somebody is not able to properly research something. But thanks for watching. You can also correct me if I'm wrong, so I am open to discussions. Obviously, please keep it decent and respectful, and see you in the next video.